members being stolen away and not imprisoned, but brainwashed and everything. So there was all this talk about deprogramming and rescuing cult members from these groups. And I mean, there were some real tragedies and things that were happening too. So metaphysics, which was kind of, just coming into a form that we could recognize, was also kind of tarnished by all the other drama that was going on. Fortunately, because the pure form of it, once we really recognized what it was, and the light started to shine through, and just dispel all this darkness, it has come out to be what it really is, and that's more. Dr. Master calls it more than religion. I call it a lifestyle, because once you start studying it, and once you start understanding what it is, and you connect with your inner self, it's not a religion that you practice like a lot of religions do. It's something you become. It's who you are, and it's how you live. So it becomes more of, you reflecting the truth and the light of who you are, allowing the Spirit of God to actually express through you, and you become a seeker on a path of truth, and that's to be more authentic, to be more loving, more compassionate and patient, and actually more like Jesus, who is, the leader that some faiths follow, but you actually can become more that real pure being that a lot of traditional religions try to say they are when they have missed the point altogether. And that's not judging any religion; it's just a statement of what I have found to be true.
I so agree with you 100%, and I went through some of the similar things, and even to this day. I know Dr. Masters always encouraged mysticism in the mystical context, but mysticism is still very misunderstood, and sometimes metaphysics. I went on Blog Talk to look at what some other metaphysical shows are doing, and many are doing kind of the outer paranormal realms, which is okay. That's very popular. We all know Coast to Coast is popular too. But metaphysics, as you said, and as I know it, and as most of our students that we kind of met online know it, is really, it is an everyday practice. I'm writing a new book called Queen of Angels, Mary's Messages of Love. And I can't tell you how many people, when I say I'm doing a book on Mother Mary, they say, oh, that Catholic Mary. Oh, I didn't know you were a Catholic. and no, I've had this happen so often. Then I'm going, no, you see, the religions try to claim certain things, and they make you think certain ways, but in metaphysics, we embrace all forms of religion, but it's all going back to what we experience within ourselves. So when I experienced Mary, Mother Mary, I experienced it not at all like tainted, or I hate to even use the word tainted, but filtered maybe with the coloring distorted, of one religion.
I call it distorted.
But because religions all kind of try to get you to follow their way, I understand it. That is the way a lot of them make their money, is by following their way. And you mentioned Christianity. I mean, many people who are Christians are told that they were in the past told that meditation is dangerous. You posted something on the Facebook site about a person who said teaching yoga could be very dangerous was a threat of sorts to religion. And it's the furthest thing from it, because what it is, when you're doing yoga or you're meditating, you are living in a way that is proper every single day. It's a lifestyle, as you said. And it is, you have this direct connection to follow the path of God, and or some people even say the one source. Unity Church, I know, embraces all religions, but as you've seen, one of the many things we've posted through the years on the Facebook site is about how many of the students and alumni and ministers have gone on to do weddings. And I know that there's many, many wonderful people in the group who do weddings, and it's so great being a metaphysical minister, because you can do weddings for any group, You're not limited to just one religion. You could do weddings for absolutely everyone. And, of course, there's never been any discrimination of race, creed, color, whether you were gay, whether you're transgender. I mean, with metaphysics, they were the first ones, and Dr. Masters was to embrace all people and all religions without discrimination, as you well know.
Yeah, well, metaphysics really, what it means is the study and awareness of that which is beyond what we can see, the physical. That's why it's called metaphysics, beyond physics. And one of the good things that's happening is that as science expands and grows and becomes more, it's starting to prove on the physical level some of the things we've always known and believed. And that they're starting to, with quantum physics and quantum sciences, they are starting to recognize the presence of other energies that we don't quite, that we never admitted were there, but can be defined or explained through some of the religious practices that we have, when we talk about the presence of the spirit or God or universal energy and all this. But beyond that, I wanted to talk about, meditation, especially as it's viewed from traditional religions as being, something that they warn people against. In my opinion, one of the reasons they do that is because if people started to meditate, because it wakes you up and deepens your awareness, and through your unconscious mind starts to give you truth and recognition, if all of the traditional religions started to teach their people to meditate, it's my opinion that many of the traditional religions would break down, because some of the dogmas and conflicts in the teachings would begin to question and realize it's not there for a pure purpose, but there's for control, to keep that money flowing, to keep that power going, to keep that structure that keeps people under control. I mean, this whole thing about the fear of some traditional religious people afraid to allow their children to learn meditation or to practice because they feel it will contaminate their minds because this is what they've been taught, when the truth is it doesn't contaminate you, it purifies you. It's the exact opposite of what they've been taught, but because that fear has been built in, they can stay in their traditional teachings because they wouldn't dare step out and explore anything outside of what they were told was acceptable. But we've seen many of those barriers breaking down as we grow and evolve as a species and as we become more spiritually aware. That's why so many people are leaving traditional religions, because they begin to understand that there's really more to it. And it doesn't mean that you're not being true to your spiritual belief to meditate. It actually means that you become more deeply spiritual. And the other thing I wanted to mention, you talked about Catholicism embracing Mother Mary, and a lot of people believing if you believe in Mother Mary that you're Catholic. Well, that's the same thing with Christianity. A lot of people believe that if you recognize and embrace Jesus, that you must be Christian, but that's not true. Jesus and Mother Mary are both ascended masters or ascended guides. They're beings. In their view of the world, they will connect with and be a part of a life, no matter what your traditional religion may be or your culture may be, because they see it from this higher plane. And you don't have to be a Christian to believe in Jesus. I am not a Christian. I was raised a Christian, but I don't practice Christianity. But Jesus is one of my dearest, closest spiritual guides and mentors. Due to a dream I had right after I started studying with Dr. Masters, there was this, in fact, I was in one of the classes when it happened, and I had this very profound dream. I'm a psychic, so I have these dreams every once in a while that are really major. This was one that I've had 40 years ago, almost 40 years ago, and I still remember it vividly. But what made it so different was during the class we were asked to report on any spiritual experiences we were having, dreams or whatever, as he was teaching us to grow. And so I stood up in class and reported this particular dream that I had. 3 other people in the class said they had had the same dream the same night. And and that was my first blow my mind. Oh my God, are they really? Are they just pretending? But no, after we discussed details, all 4 of us had the same dream on the same night. And then about 20 years later, maybe 15 years later, I was looking through some pictures on the internet because this dream happened on a beach on planet Earth. It also involves some of the, seeing into another spiritual realm that's connected with us. But on this beach, it was a very unique kind of beach, a very special shape to the beach. a very special energy. About 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago now, I was looking through some pictures on the internet and saw this beach. It's a place I have never been to, but the beach is called Zakynthos. It's in Greece. And what made it so special is this particular beach was a white sand beach, but it was surrounded like in a U of these very high cliffs, and we couldn't get off the beach. But out in the ocean, there was a storm coming, and it was tremendously powerful, and we could see the storm surge coming in, and we were all sitting on the beach, all in our own little world. And from the above the cliff sides, which are very tall, there was this vision of another place, like ethereal. And down this walkway came this man. And when he got down to the beach, he took on his physical form. And it was Jesus. And he went over to each one of us and spoke to us and comforted us and told us, don't worry, everything will be fine. There's going to be, there's going to be space here. The storm will turn. And some other things that were each one of us connected to a crisis we were having in our lives. And I just remember so vividly that connection with him, as he stayed with me ever since, in presence, in healing, in comfort, guidance. And I talk to him, I call on him all the time. It's part of what led me to becoming a certified angel reader, because once I started studying into the angel realm and the spiritual realm with the ascended masters, he connected again with me very strongly. So and that's why you hear me sometimes on the side, I'll tell people, ask Jesus for comfort, ask Jesus for the white light to help you with these special places that you're trying to go to or deal with.
Well, the dreams are part of our healing. And Dr. Masters, of course, when I began and you began, we were taught in not only we were taught dream therapy, Jungian therapy. We were taught numbers, numerological numbers were part of our understanding and teaching. Palmistry. It was very, very, astrology, yes. Yeah. Very, very complete, unlike anything else really going on. But dreams were part of it. I remember when Wayne Dyer, who was a friend of mine, passed. I hadn't known he'd passed at the time. I had the dream. It was the day before. Actually, it was probably the night of his passing. And I was I think I was on the road. I think I was going from Sedona to Los Angeles, and I don't remember if I was in Sedona or Los Angeles at the time, but I had the dream. I was, again, on a very wide beach. Now, of course, Wayne loved his oceans, and he lived right on the beach here in Maui. But he was on a beach, unlike a beach here on Maui. This was a very, very wide beach, very white. And on the beach was this red, beautiful, almost a tent made of silk, red silk. And he was inside this tent. And he was teaching. He was gathering his friends. And he was doing a teaching about his passing and that everything would be right, and kind of handing the mantle over to his family and friends. And I had that dream, and then I found out the next day that he had made his transition. And the day before Dr. Masters passed, of course, I knew him since the time I was 13 or 14 years old. And I'd seen him in December before his passing in January, on January 10th. But he came to me in the dream, and he just gave me one of his big, big hugs and just held me, almost like it was, again, that transmission of energy. And, let me know that everything would be okay, and it was time for him to leave. And it was in a blue and white room, and you know how we always love the blue and white.
Blue and white,
It was blue and white. And then the doors opened from the room, and he walked out into the light and walked into eternity, and he became a total being of light as he walked out the doors. And then I found out the next day on Sunday that he had passed and made his transition during that night, the night before, or during the night. I don't know if it was in the morning of the 10th or the night before. So yes, dreams often, I think people often will find that, especially if there is a passing of someone as well. I know that many people have dreams of loved ones, and that they come to them in their sleep.
Yeah, I have dreams. Not all of my dreams are profound, but there are several I've had in my lifetime that I remember very vividly. But I can tell the difference between the ones that have meaning and the ones that